Here's how to take the front wheel off your XR250. First thing you want to do is get it up off the ground. Just use a milk crate and a block of wood. That way you got some clearance to work with here. A couple of things to notice here. This is your speedometer cable, and then you're going to need a Phillips for that, and then we're going to need a 17 millimeter for this, and then 10 millimeter for this. So we're going to loosen this first, then we're going to loosen these. These don't need to come all the way out. This just kind of holds the axle on, and then we'll loosen this. Just reached around here and kind of gave it a yank. There we go. Now we'll loosen these up with their 10 millimeter. I found it easier with this to use the this 10 millimeter socket and ratchet. This is kind of a small wrench, and there's some decent torque on these. Some of these could be almost frozen. Okay, one thing that just happened is right as I loosen these, the forks actually spread out just a little bit. So that's something to take note of when we're putting this back on, because that's what this does, is it hugs, it locks in this hub here. So it just barely walked out a little bit. So the forks sitting like that over the tire went like that. So we'll make sure that when we're tightening back up, we push them back together and then tighten these up. Now we'll go ahead and loosen up the hub. 17 millimeter. I'm gonna use the socket. One thing that I like to do is make it easier. I just get a little torque helper here with my box end of the wrench and slap it around the ratchet. That's going to go on here. I'm going to put it back on. I put the screw back in here too. That's it. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull the tire off and change the tube. All right, just getting this thing put back on. So I made sure this was locked in there, and I had to make sure that the disc was lined up in the pads there, and then I had to make sure this side was lined up, and then just kind of held the tire up and pushed the pin back in, the hub back in. Now we'll just thread it on. Okay, now what we'll do is just squeeze these forks in and then tighten this down. Okay, to kind of show you what I'm talking about here, see, this thing is tightened all the way. I've got this cranked down, but yet we still have some room in there. So we'll press the forks in and then tighten this up, and then you'll see that this will be out a little bit more. Okay, what I'm doing now to pull these forks back together, I just tied a loop on that end, ran the rope through it, and I tied another loop there. I'm just going to tension this. Put a bunch of tension on this and squeeze those forks in. All right, there we go, you guys. I'm just gonna hook this back up, pop that back in there. I've already got these tight, and we're ready to roll. Thanks for watching. Hey, one last little tip here. When you're putting this throttle cable back in and you're putting the screw in, do not over torque this. You'll do what I did, and it cracked it a little bit right there. This just needs to be snug, just barely tight. It's got a lot of threads on there, no need to over crank it like I did. So now I gotta Gorilla Glue it and then eventually replace this. All right, hope this helps. Thanks again. Thanks for watching.